Java with Joe, the podcast, is brought to you by Kemba Credit Union, celebrating over 90 years of quality service to our membership. Sponsored in part by First Choice Coffee, the official coffee of Java with Joe, and Real Vision. And now your host, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Westchester Liberty Chamber Alliance, Joe Hinson.
Thank you, Sarah. We're with Lisa Brown, Township Administrator, Westchester. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you for having me today.
So are you originally from this area?
I am not. My husband and my 3 children and I, we live in Centerville, but I have been in southwestern Ohio somewhere for the majority of my life, except for a brief stint in upstate New York, where I went to high school.
Oh, really? Okay. So, but you came back here, you attended Wright State University.
I did, yes.
So what took you to upstate New York and why back here again?
My dad is originally from upstate New York, and we did a little trial basis, I guess, of living there. Little tiny small town in the Finger Lakes, beautiful area. There's a lot of dairy farms, vineyards, things like that, but it's a very small town. Probably about 800 people where I lived, and you're just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So when I graduated high school and decided to go to college, I just wanted to come back home.
Okay.
My parents were still in New York, but my grandma was here. So I came down here, lived with her for a little while, and attended Wright State.
Yes. And so while you were there, you have a bachelor's degree in psychology and Spanish language and literature.
I did, yes.
Go ahead. So tell us.
So my original plan was I wanted to be a criminal profiler with the U.S. Marshals. Okay. So I went into psychology because the human condition, the human mind just fascinates me. What makes people tick? You know, what do they like? What do they not like? And then once I got into my program, I actually started taking Spanish as well. I got a minor in Spanish through my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I decided to go back and finish up that program. While I was in the Spanish program, I actually lived in Spain. I lived in Spain for a semester for 6 months in San Sebastian, which is in the northern part of Spain, right on the French border. Absolutely loved it. You get to see things there that we just don't have here. You know,
Sure.
They've been around thousands of years. Their culture's been around thousands of years. And what do we have here? You know, a couple hundred years old if we're lucky. So
have you gone back to Spain since?
I have not been back since, but I am currently enrolled in law school at the University of Dayton. And when I finish that, my husband and I plan to go back to Spain and Portugal. So we want to travel southern Spain and Portugal for a couple weeks and relax.
Very nice. So after the bachelor's degree, you got a master's degree, and this time you kind of shifted public administration.
Correct. Yeah, another shift. So I always had planned to go back to grad school, either to get my graduate degree, get a PhD, something like that. I just hadn't decided what I wanted to do. And then when I became pregnant with my daughter, it was just a turning point in my life where you have to make a decision, right? And so I started the MPA program actually wanting to go into nonprofit. I have a little brother who has Down syndrome. He is 22 years younger than me, and he has Down syndrome. And I have helped to take care of him his whole life, even to today. And so with my background in Spanish and then my connection to the disability community, I wanted to go into a nonprofit to serve the Hispanic community because there's really a dearth of services that cater to that population. And I thought that, you know, I had something to offer there. And then when I got into my program, I took an urban planning class, just one class, and I just fell in love with the idea of local government.
Okay.
So again, just another twist to my life that took me in a different direction and that ultimately led me to the seat where I am today.
Absolutely. So, and with that said, you started your career as a planning and HR intern with the city of Middletown.
I did. So I started graduate school when my daughter was 3 weeks old. I had saved enough so that I could be home with her, and I got about 10 months into it, and I thought, this is not for me. I am a career woman. I could not. I love being a mother. I love my daughter, but there is just a part of me that's fulfilled from working. So I eased into it by doing a part-time internship while I was in grad school, and just did a whole bunch of different projects for Middletown. I finished up what they had for a whole summer in probably 3 weeks. So then they just kept adding on to different things. So I'm told that I tend to do that a lot.
With that said, then you were a graduate research assistant for the Center of Urban and Public Affairs at Wright State.
I was. I worked with a fabulous mentor there. I was her direct assistant, and we traveled around basically to various counties in Ohio doing their public health. What do they call them? Community health assessments, and then their community health improvement plans. So it's the county board of health has to go through this process to
Sure.
identify issues within their county, their health issues, and then come up with a plan for how to address those. So I did a lot of research, a lot of writing. I have a lot of background in statistics and data analysis, surveying, those types of things. And it just really helped me to get into understanding like some of the problems that
Sure.
local governments have and how they develop those solutions.
So I think back on when you started your career and this is what you wanted to do when you went to school. Now I'm hearing statistics and data. So somewhere in the process, you learned that this was something that you really enjoyed and
Yeah.
were obviously very good at.
Yeah.
And so was this something that you going in started the process? You really did not know until you actually started getting into it and seeing what was I guess the urban planning was about.
Absolutely. I I tell my kids, and the story of my life is just prepare for whatever comes next. Luck is the intersection of preparation and chance, and so you should always be prepared for what comes next because you never know what that opportunity is
Yeah.
going to be. So. My whole life has just been, well, I think this will make my life better. And I've taken that, and I've just been very fortunate to meet the right people, make the right connections, fall into the right opportunity, so that my experience and knowledge and education could really bring me into that next thing that someone needed filled. So
Absolutely. So that next thing for you, before coming to Westchester, is what you were with the city of Clayton. This is outside of Dayton, as the assistant to the city manager for 4 years.
yes, I was in my time in Clayton. I was the assistant to the city manager. I purchased a golf course, and I helped to set up running the golf course and the banquet facility there.
Mm.
And then I really started my career in human resources and labor management. And that is something that continued through my time as the assistant administrator for Westchester.
Very good. Okay. In 2018, you were hired by Westchester as assistant township administrator. So you've been with Westchester Township, I guess, 7 years, going close to 8 years now.
Yes, yes,
And
I
so
have.
that was a transition for you, and being at a city at Clayton now at a township, also a transition because
Correct.
we're talking city and township.
Yes.
So there was a lot of transition for you, and you obviously came a little further south.
Yeah, I've really loved my time here in Westchester. Making that transition from city to township really was not that difficult. There's a lot of talk about, oh, we're a township and that makes us so much different. And there is some differences, especially in funding mechanisms and some of the autonomy that we have. But it still just comes down to the same premise that we're here to serve the people, we're here to serve the residents, we're here to plan for and execute, what's best for the community to help it grow and prosper.
Absolutely. So you were promoted to a township administrator earlier this year. Let's talk about that
I
transition
was.
for you.
That was less difficult than I thought it was going to be. I mean, fortunately, I had already been here for a very long time. I had very good relationships with the township and with the trustees, with all the directors. The biggest change that I've seen in that time is that I have always been a doer. I am a get things done. I am a workhorse. I am a just move forward. whatever the problem is, let's just trample over top of it and let's find that solution and get the work done. And moving to the administrator role, I find that I just don't do a lot of work, physical work. And it's all kind of in my head. It's all relationships. It's all meetings and communications and
Sure.
planning and setting strategy rather than sitting down and, filing the report or writing up the contract and things like that. So it was a little bit of a difficult change for me, just a mindset change.
Absolutely. So with that said, earlier this year, obviously here we are as we end the year. What are the responsibilities of a township administrator, specifically for Westchester?
Yes. So right now, I feel like my core responsibility is to ensure that we maintain our financial and economic vibrancy into the future. Westchester has enjoyed a very long history of rapid and positive growth here in the community, but we are significantly built out at this point. Only about 13% of our commercial property is left available, and 4% of our residential
Mm,
property is available. So my job right now is to prepare us for a change from this rapid greenfield growth where there's nothing there, just big open farms, to now thinking about how do we remain viable and vibrant when we need to redevelop
sure.
properties. It's always much more difficult to redevelop and turn something old into something new and vibrant. So that's my plan now, is just talking with the community, talking with business owners, talking with the trustees, my staff, of how do we make sure that we just maintain on our upward trajectory.
Absolutely. And I equate it to, being prepared for what's next.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's basically what you're doing now
Yep.
at a different time, a different place. But you also recognize too that there has to be a what's next
Yes.
for businesses to want to continue to be a part of what we're doing, expanding or growing, or still coming to this area.
Yeah, like any good business, we have to think about what is the future going to bring? What are the trends? What are our challenges and our opportunities? Of course, we have to celebrate the great things that we have done, but we can't just sit back and count on that on the same process being successful in the future when we're really a very different community today than we were 20 or 30 years
Yeah,
ago, even
absolutely.
5 years ago.
Absolutely. So, some of the departments you oversee is finance, HR, IT, community development, and community services. You talked a
Hmm.
lot about the importance of not necessarily doing, but out in the community and meeting people and connecting with people. So, obviously, a transition for you, but you have a lot of responsibilities overseeing
Hmm.
now. Um, that transition for you, how's that been as far as being able to not necessarily work in the business, but now working on the business?
Fortunately, I have a very good right hand person that was also able to transition into a higher level of responsibility to be able to oversee that day to day work. I'm still responsible for the overall strategic, direction of the organization and direct supervision of all the departments. But I had to really be able to hand off that day-to-day hands-on experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those that are maybe not aware of the the size of Westchester Township, what we're talking about is more than 200 full-time employees,
Almost
uh,
300.
almost
About
300 now.
290.
There we go. 100 part-time employees. How many now? More
That
part-time?
would include part-time. Full-time,
Okay.
part-time, we're
Okay.
right at about 300.
300.
So,
Okay.
yes.
And manage a budget nearly of $52 million. Is that
Yes.
pretty accurate?
Yeah, that's just operating budget. That doesn't even include millions in capital improvements
Sure.
also.
So, I mean, this is a business here that you're
Yes.
running, obviously, and as obviously the township is obviously recognized as one of the largest in the
Mhm.
state, and surely one of the largest municipalities in this region too.
Yes, we're Westchester is the largest local government in the Cincinnati region, besides city of Cincinnati, and we're the ninth largest jurisdiction in Ohio. We run under on a township form of government, but really in the scope of operations, we are run much more like a city. And then the way that I describe my job and what we do is really equated to a mid-sized corporation. We are very large, almost 300 employees, 55 million dollar a year budget. And I really try to bring in the business ideology into what we do.
Sure.
While there is a political side through the trustees, we have elected board. I see my job more as the chief executive rather than as a government bureaucrat.
Sure.
I think it's very important for the efficiency and effectiveness and long term viability of our organization.
Absolutely. So, with that said, what we're talking about here and the demographics, again, you've got how many, 66,000 residents or
Yes,
so?
a little over that.
Okay,
Yes.
right. 3,600 businesses,
Yep.
and on a daily basis with the businesses we have here, 53,000 employees.
Mhm.
So you talk about the internal workings, but the external, we're talking about here day to day. I mean, there's a lot going on in Westchester Township.
There just a lot of people coming in and out. Obviously, that has an impact on safety services, but we just have a lot of really positive growth here in the community. We have, presence of several Fortune 500 companies here in Westchester, and we have just a lot of corporate investment here. North Point is one organization that comes to mind. They've have significant investment in the community. I think over $500 million of investment in Westchester through the Westchester Trade Center. And they've brought in excellent businesses such as Oats Overnight. We attended their ribbon cutting just a few weeks ago on their expansion site. And that's really just a testament to what a great place Westchester is to do business.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, Westchester Trade Center, what today, about 11 buildings, I believe.
Yes.
And, you talk about Oats Overnight and why they decided to come to Westchester Township. And, they were looking for obviously transportation, a strategic location, but they were looking for a community and a government that was embracing them.
Mhm.
And in a period of 2 years, tripling the size, both in the size of the facility as well the employee base.
Mhm.
And I think and take a step back and say, wow, you come to Westchester and look what can happen.
Absolutely. We are here to help anyone to grow and expand, whether that be a business or a resident, looking for a better place to live. We're very business friendly here. We have great staff that's willing to work through whatever problems with the business to ensure that they have an appropriate space and that they're checking the appropriate boxes so that they can be successful here in Westchester.
Absolutely. And to see a company from Phoenix, Arizona come here and say that Westchester Township's our Eastern hub, what
Mhm.
a compliment.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I mean, it's just amazing. Well, another one of your projects that I know you're involved with a lot that you'd like maybe talk a little bit more about, and we're starting to see more and more of it being developed, is the USS Cincinnati up at Voice of America, next to the, um, uh, I guess, off of Tylersville Road by the Bethany Station. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a really great project that I've been working on since it was brought here to the township by you, Joe. I mean, it definitely couldn't have happened without you. You made that initial introduction. And it's just a really great project that's really synergistic to having the VOA Museum that's also there and the Voices of America Metro Parks. That project was initiated by a gentleman named Joe Japp, who has actually been championing this issue for about 25 years, and it's finally come to fruition. Originally, the project was actually pitched to the city of Cincinnati to put along the river, and it just wasn't able to work out. And so it sat idle for a couple of years. And
Yeah.
then when Joe reached out to you yourself, reached out to Larry Burks at the time, then we were
Hmm.
able to really just get that project going. It is set to be finished, hopefully, here in a couple months around Thanksgiving time, maybe early spring to put the finishing touches on it. And then we will have a grand opening in early 2026.
Now, there's also an educational part of this too,
Mhm.
because obviously there's a history here during the Cold War, obviously during World War II. So there's opportunities to be able to connect to the students too. Can you talk a little bit about that, which I think is obviously something that has a legacy and an opportunity for us to kind of see what has taken place years past, but kind of bring it to today.
Yeah, and so the official name is the USS Cincinnati Memorial Peace Pavilion. So part of the educational piece is to educate children and anyone else who wants to visit on kind of the dangers of war and the great things that the men and women of the armed forces in the United States were able to accomplish through the Cold War and the ultimate peace that occurred. The other education piece is for STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, because you have the nuclear submarine there, and then all of the things that it takes
Sure.
to put that together. So the organizers are hoping to, bring in different modules and things like that to help educate children just on a variety of topics.
And to your point about bringing people in, so this is going to be not only a local destination, but hopefully a national destination.
Absolutely.
And
Yes, we're working closely with Travel Butler County to be make sure that we're programming the site correctly so that it will be able to attract and accommodate these larger national groups. This will be the largest submarine, I think the second largest submarine installation
wow.
in the United States.
Very nice, very nice. Well, as we talked about before about Westchester having successes, but I surely want to recognize that it's been recognized as one of the best places to live and also a friendly place to do business.
Absolutely.
And so it's been a foundation of moving forward. And I know that you take those things very seriously yourself.
Yes, I've talked a lot about investment in the business side of Westchester. Of course, having healthy business, having a healthy corporate culture is good for our economy. It's good for our hotels, and it just really drives progress. But the other side is investment in our residents. And moving forward, we're making a lot of great plans to be able to invest back in our residents and in the amenities that we provide for them. We do have an expansion of Beckett Park that is under discussion right now. We just connected with an engineering firm to help provide design services. There is a survey out there right now to say, hey, what would you like to see over here on Beckett Park? And then we'll also be having some public open houses and things like that for people to provide feedback on proposed designs and discuss any issues that they would like to see addressed through the project. So, moving forward, hopefully, there's a lot of exciting things for residents to look forward to.
Well, and surely is. And I think one of the things from a chamber perspective that we really are enjoying watch is Village North,
Hmm.
because Village North is an opportunity where both Liberty and Westchester Township are working together because that's one development, but the two townships coming together. Talk, if you would, a little bit about that because we see Whole Foods going in, and
Hmm.
that's Westchester Township. But that development is going to have some green space. It's going to have the collaboration between the two townships right there at the border of Butler County and Warren County.
Yeah, so that has always been a historically difficult site to develop because there are so many people involved, so many entities involved. Liberty Township, Westchester Township, Butler County, Warren County, a lot of traffic issues that needed to be addressed. And we just couldn't get the right finance package together for it to work until we came in. And now townships were able to do, it's called a CRA, a community reinvestment area, which allowed us to provide some tax incentives for the development that finally made the development pencil
Sure.
and able to move forward.
Very nice. Very nice. So you mentioned before about now pursuing a law degree at UD, and I was and just listening to you as you talked. I mean, obviously, education's been a big part of your life,
Yes.
and you even talked about maybe getting a doctorate at one time.
Hmm.
So why go back to school now and get a law degree?
So again, just another one of those opportunities that kind of fell in my lap. I made sure I was prepared, and it happened. So as my time as the assistant township administrator, as I said, HR and labor management, that's always been a part of my career. But in the, I don't know, probably been here about 3 years, and I started just working really closely with our outside legal counsel, Frost Brown Todd. Started working a lot first with the labor negotiations, writing contracts, doing negotiations, things like that. And that grew into other contracts, writing contracts for writing development agreements
Sure.
for North Point, writing the agreement with the USS Cincinnati to be able to
Mm,
develop that and work out the property rights to be able
very nice.
to build that. And so other things like that, doing legal research, and then my predecessor Larry Burks, he saw my interest in that and worked with the trustees, and it was proposed that the township would send me to law school to help to provide better service to the township. So again, I just kind of fell into it. I prepared myself, and then when the opportunity kind of came along, I was at a place where I could take advantage.
Very good, very good. Well, we know that when Union Center Boulevard opened in November of 1997, that really has been the catalyst for the growth and development we
Hmm.
see going north. Obviously, the next big push for new interchanges and our neighbors here in Liberty for Milliken,
Yes.
and opportunities obviously to expand a central business district for Liberty, but also for the entire region. It just basically helps everybody here, all the
Mhm.
new interchanges coming together. As you think about the future, and you're talking about Westchester being different today than it was years ago, especially when Union Center first came here, what can you share with our viewers today on what to expect? I know you're doing surveys and various things
Mhm.
to look at what the future of Westchester would look like. Anything that you could really put that it could kind of show what we can expect from Westchester in the next 5 to 10 years?
Right now, we're really in a planning phase. So for 2026, my directive to the organization is that we really need to look at the community and look at our operations and plan for what that next 5 to 10 years is. So I don't really have a specific vision right now, other than that the township will have to shift from just very rapid greenfield development to redevelopment. So we need to develop that strategy of what does that look like. Redevelopment is very difficult because you generally have an existing building. You may
Sure.
have some environmental remediation that has to occur. And how do we ensure that the uses that come in as the second, third, fourth use is just as good as the first one? So again, in 26, we'll be just focusing on planning. What does that look like? What are some best practices? And what are some key areas in Westchester that we need to focus on for that redevelopment?
Very good. Well, this has been Lisa Brown. She's our Township Administrator for Westchester. Lisa, thank you for being with us today.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. This is lovely.
Java with Joe has been brought to you by Kemba Credit Union, sponsored in part by First Choice Coffee and Real Vision. Thanks for listening.